When Child's Play hit theaters in 1988, nobody was ready for how real Chucky would feel. The film blended a gritty Chicago setting, a desperate mother, and a talking doll that turned childhood innocence into terror. But what if I told you the iconic moment Chucky was born, a lightning strike that sealed his soul, was actually a perfectly timed special effect? What if the shocking final battle you remember was never supposed to happen? This movie's built on secrets that go deeper than you think. Sit back as we reveal 25 scary facts about the original Child's Play you didn't know. Number 1, Karen Barkley discovers Chucky is alive without batteries. The moment Karen opens that doll and sees the empty battery slot is one of horror's purest chills. Up to that point, Child's Play keeps viewers guessing. Maybe the kid's lying. Maybe the mom's losing it. Then Chucky's head turns and the movie stops being about doubt. That prop doll was rigged with mechanical motors that spun its head smoothly while Brad Dourif's pre-recorded voice hit through hidden speakers. The scream that follows was completely real. Catherine Hicks said her heart rate spiked on every take. The crew used minimal lighting to make the movement look real on camera, which made the entire moment feel unpredictable even on set. Number 2, Chucky's full name, Charles Lee Ray, honors 3 real-life killers. Chucky's name was built to sound dangerous from the start. Writer Don Mancini combined 3 names that haunted American headlines: Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray. Each one carried a legacy of violence that instantly gave the character a dark weight before he ever spoke a word. By using those names, the film grounded its supernatural killer in something uncomfortably real. It's a clever detail that most viewers never notice, but it helped shape Chucky's identity long before the doll came to life. Even the way the actor said Charles Lee Ray on screen was meant to sound like a police record being read out loud. Cold, serious, and unforgettable. Number 3, the film's working title was Blood Buddy. Before Child's Play became the story of a serial killer using voodoo to possess a doll, the project had a completely different concept and a much simpler title: Blood Buddy. The original script focused less on the supernatural and more on a boy who accidentally brings a doll to life through a blood-sharing ritual. The doll would then become an actual living friend who followed the boy's violent commands. The producers eventually decided to move away from the buddy concept and introduce the Charles Lee Ray character and the voodoo element. This shift gave the film its signature dark edge, transforming a simple horror premise into a supernatural slasher franchise. Number 4, the My Buddy toy line inspired the Good Guy doll brand. The idea for the Good Guy dolls came straight from the real 1980s toy shelves. Don Mancini drew inspiration from the My Buddy dolls, a popular line that tried to make dolls more appealing to boys. They had overalls, striped shirts, and that friendly, wide-eyed smile, almost identical to Chucky before things went wrong. Mancini said he was fascinated by how these toys were marketed as best friends for kids, blending companionship and consumerism into one bright package. When audiences saw the Good Guy ads in Child's Play, it felt believable because they'd already seen similar commercials on TV. The design team even studied the My Buddy doll molds to get the proportions right. That detail helped make Chucky look so real that many parents thought the film had used an actual toy brand. Number 5, the voodoo god's name is Damballa. When Charles Lee Ray calls out during the opening ritual, he's speaking to Damballa, a real figure from Haitian voodoo tradition. In folklore, Damballa is often seen as a creator spirit, symbolized by a serpent associated with life and rebirth. The movie took his name and reworked it into something darker, turning it into the power behind Chucky's soul transfer. Don Mancini found the name while researching voodoo terms to make the ritual sound authentic. Though the chant itself doesn't translate to anything specific, the mention of Damballa gave it a sense of mystery and credibility. Over time, fans began repeating the chant word for word, turning it into one of horror's most quoted phrases. Even across sequels, its single name remains the heart of Chucky's supernatural power, the force that made a doll come alive. Number 6, the ritual must be completed before Chucky turns human. In the story's lore, Chucky's possession of the doll isn't permanent. After transferring his soul into the Good Guy body, the longer he stays there, the more human he becomes. That's why his face starts to change throughout the movie. The plastic looks stretched, the expressions seem more alive, and at one point even blood starts to appear beneath the surface. The film used subtle makeup and animatronic tweaks to make it look like the doll was slowly turning into a live being. Chucky had to possess the first person he revealed his secret to, which raised the stakes for his plan to take over Andy's body. If too much time passed, he'd be trapped forever inside the toy. The rule gave the movie a ticking clock that made every scene feel urgent, especially as Chucky's voice grew more human with each encounter. Number 7, Chucky had a secret pulse. One of the most unsettling details in Child's Play is a sound that most people never consciously notice. In the scenes where Chucky's hiding or moving, the sound design team layered in a faint, quick heartbeat effect. This wasn't the sound of a normal heart. It was meant to be the distorted, frantic pulse of Charles Lee Ray's human soul trapped inside the plastic shell. It was a subtle, psychological cue designed to remind the audience that this was more than just a moving toy. It was a living, breathing killer. This hidden sound effect created subconscious tension, making the audience feel uneasy even before Chucky revealed himself. Number 8, Chucky was controlled by up to 11 different puppeteers. Bringing Chucky to life took an entire team working in perfect coordination. Depending on the scene, as many as 11 puppeteers operated the doll at once. One handled the eyes, another worked the mouth, and the others controlled facial twitches, fingers, and head movement through remote systems. The crew used cables, radio signals, and servos hidden under Chucky's clothes to make him move like a living creature. Every gesture had to sync with Brad Dourif's pre-recorded voice, which meant hours of rehearsal before filming even began. Chucky blinked, smirked, or turned his head suddenly. That timing came from a team who treated each motion like choreography. Their decision gave the doll its eerie believability, so realistic that even the cast said it was easy to forget they were acting beside a machine. Number 9, Chucky's companion Eddie Caputo was never mentioned again. Eddie Caputo, the gateway driver for Charles Lee Ray, plays a short but important role in Child's Play. He's the reason Ray ends up trapped in the toy store after being abandoned during the police chase. Later, when Chucky tracks him down, Eddie becomes one of the first victims in the movie's explosive scenes. The filmmakers had originally written more backstory for Eddie and his connection to Ray, including lines explaining their criminal history. Those moments were cut to keep the story focused on Andy and Chucky. After his on-screen death, the character disappears completely from the series, never referenced in any sequel. Number 10, Brad Dourif's voice was recorded entirely before the doll scenes. Before Chucky ever moved on screen, Brad Dourif had already brought him to life in the recording booth. The actor performed all of Chucky's dialogue first, channeling anger, humor, and that chilling laugh that became iconic. His recordings were then used on the set to guide the puppeteers as they matched every line with the doll's mouth movements. This process was crucial for keeping Chucky's expressions believable. The team played Dourif's voice through speakers during takes so the actors could respond naturally. Even the smallest phrases like, "Hi, I'm Chucky," were rehearsed repeatedly until they felt alive through the puppet. Dourif's voice acting carried so much intensity that it gave the doll a human edge, helping the crew synchronize performance and movement. Without that early recording process, Chucky's personality wouldn't have felt nearly as real. Number 11, Andy's actor cried after a painful directorial request. Filming intense scenes with a child actor isn't easy, especially when the story involves fear and violence. 6-year-old Alex Vincent, who played Andy, had to perform some emotionally heavy moments that felt overwhelming for someone his age. Director Tom Holland asked him to repeat one emotional scene several times to capture genuine fear and exhaustion. During one take, Alex began crying for real, unable to hold back his emotions. Catherine Hicks, who played his mother, comforted him immediately after the camera stopped rolling, assuring him that he's done a great job. That take stayed in the movie because it felt raw and believable. Number 12, Maggie's original electrocution death was later used for Tiffany. In the early drafts of Child's Play, Maggie's death was meant to happen in a completely different way. Instead of being thrown through the apartment window, she was supposed to die from electrocution after being attacked by Chucky in the kitchen. The sequence was written, storyboarded, and even tested for lighting setups before being replaced. The filmmakers decided the window fall could create a stronger shock moment for audiences and work better with the film's pacing. Years later, the unused idea found new life in The Bride of Chucky, where Tiffany Valentine meets her end through an electrical jolt in the bathtub. Fans who know the series love that connection. It's a clever nod to the franchise's roots. Number 13, Dr. Ardmore's death involved real electricity. The film's most memorable kills happens inside the psychiatric hospital, where Chucky turns medical equipment into a weapon. Dr. Ardmore, played by Jack Colvin, becomes the victim of a brutal electrocution after trying to treat Andy. The crew used real sparks, spoke machines, and a hidden rig to simulate the electric surge that burns through the doctor's body. The effect was achieved with practical tools. No digital edits, just lighting tricks and a stunt dummy for final convulsions. The scene stood out for how sudden and violent it felt, showing Chucky's growing strength and creativity as a killer. Number 14, the toy store scene where Ray dies was actually a Chinese restaurant. The film's opening chase, where Charles Lee Ray is cornered and takes refuge in a toy store, wasn't actually shot in a toy store at all. That entire set was a redressed Chinese restaurant located in downtown Los Angeles. The production team transformed the space with shelves full of toys, bright signage, and displays to make it look like a fully stocked retail store. The restaurant's layout gave the crew more control over lighting and camera movement, which helped them capture the chaos of the scene during the thunderstorm. Every flash, explosion, and spark came from practical effects done right inside that small location. Number 15, the apartment exterior is a historic Chicago building. The Barkley family's apartment in Child's Play is one of the film's most recognizable settings, and it's a real location. The exterior shots were filmed at the Brewster Apartments in Chicago's Lakeview neighborhood, a landmark building that dates back to the late 1800s. Known for its glass atrium, iron staircases, and open interior walkways, the Brewster's been featured in several films because of its vintage character. The crew chose it to give the story a grounded, urban look that matched the movie's gritty atmosphere. Locals still visit the spot, often taking photos where Karen and Andy once stood. While the inside scenes were filmed on studio sets, the exterior remains one of the most famous horror movie locations in Chicago. Number 16, Chucky's POV was used to build suspense. Director Tom Holland used Chucky's point of view shots to build suspense and keep the audience guessing about the doll's reality. When Chucky was supposed to be moving unseen, the camera would drop low and move quickly, showing the world from his perspective as he ran across the floor or hid under furniture. The technique gave the impression that the doll was alive even when the human characters couldn't see him move. The crew achieved these shots with a small camera rig mounted on a remote-controlled car, allowing for a low-angle, fast-paced movement. This simple trick made the audience feel like they were sharing a secret with the killer, making the tension and jump scares even more effective. Number 17, director Tom Holland added the key voodoo element to the plot. When Tom Holland joined Child's Play, the story shifted into something much darker. Don Mancini's original script focused more on the idea of consumer culture, children bonding with toys. Holland thought the film needed a stronger reason for the doll to come alive, so he introduced the supernatural twist, voodoo possession. This addition brought Charles Lee Ray's spirit into the good guy doll, giving the film a clear villain with a human backstory. Holland worked with screenwriter John Lafia to blend crime and horror together, using ritual scenes and storms to give Chucky's birth a dramatic edge. That decision turned Child's Play into a full horror classic, instead of just a dark satire about marketing. Number 18, Chucky's hands were played by a real person. For the most dangerous and detailed actions, Chucky's hands were actually those of a real person. The animatronic arms were too clumsy to perform tasks like opening doors, gripping a knife, or scrambling across the floor. To solve this, the crew hired a small actress named Ed Gale to wear the doll's costume. The camera would only focus on her arms and hands, making the movement look fast, natural, and incredibly threatening. This technique was used whenever the doll needed to move with human speed and agility. By mixing complex puppetry with live action, the filmmakers gave Chucky a terrifying realism you simply could not achieve with mechanics alone. Number 19, the fire escape scene was genuinely dangerous. The apartment fire escape scene, where Chucky chases Andy high above the Chicago streets, was one of the most dangerous moments in the entire movie. 6-year-old Alex Vincent had to perform several takes dangling from the iron railings while the crew worked far below. While safety harnesses were always in place, the height and the nighttime setting created real tension on set. Director Tom Holland kept the cameras rolling for long takes to capture the boys' genuine fear and exhaustion. The crew used loud wind machines and simulated rain to make the scene feel even more chaotic. The attention to realistic detail is what makes the sequence work. You're watching a child actor who is truly overwhelmed by the situation. Number 20, a simulated lightning strike caused the toy store explosion. The fiery blast that ends the opening chase scene was created using real pyrotechnics timed perfectly with a simulated lightning strike. The crew built the effect with electrical rigs and high-powered lights to flash across the room just as the explosion went off. They used small charges and controlled flame bursts to blow apart the store's shelves without damaging the set structure. The thunder sound was layered in post-production to match the moment Charles Lee Ray transfers his soul into the good guy's doll. The timing made it feel as if the lightning itself triggered the supernatural event. The result was one of the most striking openings in any 1980s horror film. Even without CGI, coordination between lightning, sound, and practical fire effects gave the movie a chaotic energy that pulled audiences in from the first few minutes. Number 21, Brad Dourif went on to star in films with his daughter. When Brad Dourif recorded Chucky's intense screams, his daughter Fiona Dourif happened to hear one of those sessions and was terrified, having no idea her father was only pretending. Years later, her story came full circle when she joined the franchise. Brad Dourif returned to voice Chucky, while Fiona starred as Nika Pierce in Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky. This made them one of the few father-daughter duos to share a horror franchise. Fiona earned praise for carrying the series' intensity while sharing scenes with the voice of the actor that once scared her as a child, giving the later films a unique and personal energy. Number 22, the original cut of the film ran close to 3 hours. In the early stages, Child's Play was a much longer movie. The rough cut ran close to 2 hours, a little longer than the 87-minute version that hit theaters. Some reports exaggerated this to 3 hours, but the extended footage did exist and was significantly trimmed during editing. Many of the removed scenes included longer conversations, additional shots of the chase, and moments that slowed the pacing. Director Tom Holland and the producers decided to streamline the story to keep the tension building without unnecessary pauses. Around 25 minutes of footage were cut, leaving the final version sharp and focused. The deleted material has never been officially released, though fragments appear in old production notes and interviews. Number 23, protesters demanded the film be pulled from theaters. When Child's Play premiered in 1988, not everyone was thrilled about a movie featuring a killer doll. Parent groups and advocacy organizations across the United States protested outside theaters, claiming the film could encourage violence among children. Some groups even called for boycotts and urged studios to stop screening it. The controversy drew national headlines, which only fueled more curiosity about the movie. Despite the protests, audiences kept showing up and the box office numbers grew every week. The debate over violent content in horror films was common in the late 1980s, and Child's Play became one of the main examples cited in those discussions. The pushback didn't slow the franchise, though. It actually gave Chucky more attention. By the time the protests faded, the film had already secured its place as a pop culture phenomenon. Number 24, the original Chucky doll looked like a Smurf. The very first prototype for the good guy doll was a disaster. It was much brighter with a friendlier face and blue overalls. Early test audiences thought the design was too harmless to be scary, with some even comparing it to a Smurf. The creative team quickly realized the doll had to be more sinister. They intentionally darkened the hair, gave him a more aggressive smirk, and added the famous red sneakers that make him look like a creepy, realistic child. This redesign was absolutely crucial for the movie's success, as the first attempt would have failed to convince anyone that the doll was capable of murder. Number 25, the film's ending was reshot. The original ending of Child's Play was far less satisfying than the one we see today, forcing the filmmakers to go back and reshoot the entire finale. In the first version, Chucky was completely destroyed early on, which left test audiences feeling disappointed as they wanted to see more of the doll's unkillable rage. The producers quickly realized they had to make Chucky tougher and his destruction more violent. They spent an additional $500,000 to film the final extended sequence where Chucky returns multiple times, surviving fire and bullets before he's finally taken down. This reshoot cemented Chucky's legendary status as the horror villain who simply refuses to die. And that's it. So after all these years and all these secrets, how did a film about a murderous talking doll manage to terrify a generation of movie fans? Maybe it's that the film's gritty realism and terrifying effects prove that the simplest ideas can be the scariest, making Child's Play an undisputed horror classic today. If you want to dive even deeper into horror films that define the genre, you don't want to miss our recent video on the original 1978 Halloween. There are a lot of chilling secrets behind Michael Myers, the most iconic mass killer of all time that you have no idea about. Stay tuned for our next classic movie rewind.